Hello and welcome back to this Q&A series where I answer your questions, all with some gameplay footage in the background. I say that every time, you've heard it all before, you know it, I just like to repeat myself, but at least for this episode, we're going back to the status quo of how things used to be with these Q&A episodes, because I now have a cup of tea. It's a bit hot at the moment, but it's good to have tea. It's good to ponder over your questions with tea in hand, tea nearby. But whilst it's cooling down, we'll get on to the first question. How about that? So the first question is from Hans, and it is, which headphones/headset do you use? And this is a pretty simple answer. I don't really have a specific pair. I used to use a brand called KOSS, Koss. I think the model number was SB45s, and I used those to make videos for a very long time because they have a microphone attachment on the headset. They're the over-the-ears ones, and it did a decent job for the time. The microphone was okay. Obviously, I listen back now and it sounds terrible, but at the time I thought it sounded okay. But I found it, like, actual over-the-ear ones with the big pads, they always seem to hurt my ears after a while. I think it's mainly because I bought quite cheap headphones, and if it's cheap it's not going to be that well made and it is going to start hurting your ears after a while. So I've since now just moved on to earphones, kind of in-ear ones. What am I wearing at the moment? These are a Sony pair that came with my phone. Nothing special. I've been through loads of them. I've been through these, Apple ones, Panasonic ones were quite good, Sennheisers I tried, which weren't so good actually, and I was surprised because Sennheiser is supposed to be a very good brand for audio equipment, but they weren't very good. And the reason why I'm going through so many of these pairs is not because I'm fussy or picky, it's because my dog keeps chewing them. He's not allowed in my room anymore, because the thing he does, he goes in my room, sniffs around, looks for things to chew, and always goes straight towards the headphones. I don't know what it is about him. He's obsessed. He's chewed 2 pairs now. And if he doesn't chew them, I end up breaking them anyway, just out of wear and tear. So yeah, I go through quite a lot. I don't really have a specific model or brand that I use anymore, but I used to. Thank you very much for the question, Hans. Moving on to a couple of questions from Super Flash. Question number 1. If you could have any video game item/weapon, what would it be? Okay, that's a tricky question. I'm going to go with weapon, because weapon seems more fun. Which video game weapon would I use? And I'm thinking, just off the top of my head, the game that I've played, and the game that I've Let's Played with the most interesting weapons. Ratchet and Clank has some good ones, for sure. Turning enemies into chickens and little sheep. Pretty good. But, really, it's got to be Destroy All Humans. That has just marvellous weapons. And I'm thinking, what was it called? Why can't I now not remember what it's called? Well, you have the anal probe. I don't really want to go around anal probing people, though. You know, it's gross, and their brains pop out their butts. I don't want to see that. I think it would be the disc one. What the hell was the disc one called? Oh, I'm going to have to look it up now. The dislocator, that's what it calls. The pink discs that get shot out and send people flying in all sorts of different directions. I think, just imagine using that in real life. I mean, sure, people would die, but it's a weapon. They're supposed to. But what a way. You just get shot with it and you get bounced from pillar to post. Great. Definitely a dislocator. The second question from Super Flash is, what vehicle from film, TV, or game would you want to drive, fly, or sail? Okay, so what vehicle from any medium, really? The question. That again is a very broad, tricky question. Would I want to fly something? I wouldn't trust myself flying. Or would I? I mean, I can't drive. I haven't got a proper driver's license yet, so I guess driving wouldn't be very good either. And I might get seasick. I don't know. I'm going to go with... Man, I sound lame. I'm going to go with something from James Bond. I think it's got to be a Bond car. Really. Ooh, which one though? Ooh. Need tea. I need some tea for this. Hang on. Okay. Tea's helped. Either the Lotus Esprit from The Spy Who Loved Me, because then I could drive and sail underwater when it turns into a submarine. Or maybe Scaramanga's car / plane from The Man with the Golden Gun. That was quite good as well. Because the wings were slotted on and then he just went flying up into the sky. What I'm doing is I'm being very sneaky and kind of combining them. So I can drive and fly, or I can drive and sail. I don't think it'll be the Aston Martin DB5. It's a classic Bond vehicle, but it doesn't go underwater and it doesn't fly. It's got some cool gadgets though. So was the one from Tomorrow Never Dies. That has some very good. I think it's an Aston. Is it an Aston Martin? No, it's a BMW. It's a BMW something that's in that film, and that's got tons of gadgets. It's the one that he drives with his phone. So I think I'm gonna go with Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Lotus Esprit. It's the classic Roger Moore Bond vehicle. Gotta be Lotus Esprit. Plus it looks so cool. Thank you very much for the question, Super Flash. I always get onto Bond, don't I? Somehow. Bond or The Simpsons. Next question is from Larry Rude Dude. And his question is, what microphone do I use? That's a very easy question. Thank you very much for asking an easy one. It's a Blue Snowball Ice. Blue Snowball Ice. There's two versions. There's a Snowball, which has two different audio versions, settings. It's got kind of omnidirectional and bidirectional, but this one's just it's a cheaper version, and it's only got one recording mode, but it does the job. Blue Snowball Ice, and it was quite cheap when I bought it. I'm sure it's quite cheap now. There you go. Next question, Larry Rude Dude sent a few. His next one is, do you think we'll ever see an independent Scotland? Do you think the UK will ever break up? Okay, we're getting away from video games and stuff. We're on to politics and geography. Do I think we'll ever see an independent Scotland? Well, if you don't know, I think it was last year. It was last year. Maybe it was the year before. Time just goes by so fast. Scotland held a referendum as to whether they want to remain part of the UK. And they voted to stay. They voted to stay inside, which I think was what most people would have predicted. There was lots of campaigning for either side, yes and no. But I personally, I can't see them ever being independent. I think it's just too much of a jump, especially to happen so quickly as well. Like, I don't understand if relations broke down to such a bad level between the English government and the Scottish Parliament or whatever. But to be honest, it's not like we hate each other too much just yet. And it's such a drastic jump. So, no, I don't think we'll ever see an independent Scotland. Probably not in my lifetime anyway. Do I think the UK will ever break up? No, I don't think so. I think that related to this, very much so in terms of the UK's participation in the world, will we ever leave the European Union? Well, who knows? There's supposed to be a referendum coming up for that next year. And that's one of David Cameron's promises that he did for this government when he won the election, was that we will hold a referendum to remain or not in the EU. And I might as well answer that while I'm here. It's a close question. I think we should stay in the EU. I know there's a lot of hoo-ha, and I don't want to get into too much politics in these types of videos, but there is a lot of hoo-ha especially with immigration at the moment, and migrants as they're called when they want to seem negative, and refugees when they want to seem positive. It's all the media. It's media spin. 1 minute they're migrants, the next minute they're refugees. So I think in terms of just culture as well, I think being independent of the EU is just, I don't know. I like being part of the EU. I think it's great that we can go to all those countries fairly easily. And I know that's an argument against it, in that it's too easy, some people would say, to cross borders. But the fact that we can just go over to France and Germany and Spain and explore those places and explore the world, I think that's great. And I think that'd be you could still do that even if you weren't part of the European Union, but it definitely makes it easier and better, I'd say. I still don't want the euro though. I'm very happy with the pound. Keep the pound. Don't want the euro. Okay. Man, I may have just brought up a can of worms there, but hey ho. The last question from Larry Rudude is: what is your favourite character from both The Simpsons and Futurama's universes, respectively? So, my favourite character from The Simpsons is probably... Is it... Do I have to... I have to give one, don't I? It has to be one. Fine, Homer. Homer's probably the funniest character. Runners-up or honourable mentions would be Mr. Burns, Moe, Skinner. They're all good. I mean, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Ned Flanders is mind you, actually no. Ned's not funny on his own. He's only funny with other characters around him. So no, not Ned. But Skinner's funny. Yeah, Burns is probably one of the best secondary characters. But Futurama, favourite character from Futurama? Scruffy? No. Zoidberg? No. Zoidberg is funny. Farnsworth is pretty funny. I think it's it's got to be Professor Farnsworth. Just some of the things he says is great. Definitely Farnsworth, yeah. Alright, thank you very much for the questions, Larry. On to another one from Kyle Bennett, which is: love your vids, thank you very much. My question is, what is your favourite video game character? Oh man, we're still on to favourite characters. Whew. So now we're on to video game characters. Alright, so it can't be Homer. It can't be like from Simpsons Hit and Run, that's cheating. Someone from GTA maybe? I didn't really like CJ that much from San Andreas. Cortez from Time Splitters is pretty good, but I don't know if it's my favourite. I'm just kind of thinking about my favourite games. John Marston. I think I've answered this question before and I said John Marston from Red Dead Redemption. Ooh, I think it's got to be him. I really liked... I mean, I love the game overall. Who doesn't love Red Dead Redemption? Great game. Great story. And, you know, you can argue that John does some stupid things in the game and, you know, he's taken advantage of by other characters in the story, which I would agree with. But his overall arc of being, you know, an ex gang member trying to redeem himself for his family's sake, and what eventually happens to him, without giving any spoilers away, but you should all probably know by now. I think it's a great story, and I think particularly the end of his story in relation to his son Jack, it really brings a point across, a really interesting point as well. Yeah, I'm going to go John Marston. I think my runner-up would have been someone like, in terms of just kind of humour, maybe Crypto from Destroy All Humans. He's pretty good video game character. And those games are very funny, so I'm going to go with John Marston. Going to go with John. Good old John. So, the next question. Larry Rude Dude appears again. He's back for one more question. Actually, I'll see some more questions later on, so he's always back. Wow. Thank you for all the questions, Larry. What is... No, hang on. Wrong one. How old were you when you got into gaming? My memory is pretty bad, but I'm trying to think of my earliest video game memory, which may have been a question before, actually. I remember playing Super Nintendo games, but that may have been after the PS1 had come out actually, and we just had the old consoles. Because, you know, if you don't have a ton of money, then you're not going to get the new console straight away. And, you know, our family definitely wasn't rich, so I probably played the Super Nintendo for quite a few years until the PS1 came down in price or something, and I got it for Christmas or a birthday. So, what would that have been? Maybe it was definitely... I remember getting a PS1 when they came out. So, what was that? 1997? Hang on a minute, and I'm not talking about the PS, well, just the PS, the PlayStation. That was the big cube one, the box one. I got my first PlayStation was a PlayStation 1, which was the smaller curved one. So when did that come out? That came out in 2000. Okay, so I'm gonna say I'm maybe a few years before that. So let's say 97. But that would have made me only 5. That's too young. Let's put it on 98. Let's put it on 99 then. Let's say I was 9 years old. Somewhere around that. No, that wouldn't have been 9. That would have been 7. I can't do maths. I really can't do maths. I'm going to say around 9 and 10. That may be completely wrong though. I wish I could have more memories of that age, but I just don't. I should have kept a diary. Silly Joe. Silly, stupid little Joe. God, he's such an idiot. Let me quickly check the time of this episode. We can go for a little bit longer. Maybe one more question? Or 2 more questions, actually. 2 more questions. What is the worst game you have ever played? And that was asked by Thomas Hazelden. Tomato? Potato? Let's call the whole thing off. No, Thomas Hazelden, I'm going to say. The worst game I've ever played, I think I've answered this question before as well, actually. I believe it was that... Oh, what was it even called? It was something like Sprint 2045? It was that terrible one I did an April Fool's video of, the running one. Extreme Sprint. Was it? Extreme Sprint 3020 odd. Oh, it's just terrible. Just terrible. And maybe throw in a few of those horse games that I did for another April Fool's. Awful, awful games. Really bad. Why do they exist, I don't know. But I think that Extreme Sprint one's probably the worst game I've ever seen. As in myself. Obviously I've seen funny videos of bad games on YouTube, but to actually, the game that I own myself, an actual physical copy, is that. Extreme Sprint. Awful. Don't ever play it. Don't even watch my video of it, because it's bad. It's a bad game. Okay, last question for today's episode is from Jess, formerly known as Lewis. The question is, will you ever do a live stream let's play of Alice Madness Returns? I just want to see your reactions to the game because it is so good. So I assume you mean play all of it, like I did with Path of the Furon, and also Simpsons Hit and Run recently. I might stream it again. I did actually really enjoy playing it to get the footage. For which one was it? I think it was episode 12. It was the first one I did starting this year. I put Alice Madness Returns as the background footage, and I did enjoy playing it again. I don't know about playing all of it. I don't know how long it is, but I'll definitely live stream it again. Yeah. I just want to see your reactions to the game. It is a bit of a weird game, but I like it. It's creepy weird. It's like Tim Burton-esque, isn't it? Yeah, sure, I'll stream it again. And the other question is, and would you and other JSano server members play other games besides Minecraft? Wow, I can't speak. Hang on. Let's say that again. And would you and other JSano fan server members play other games besides Minecraft, like League of Legends? It's free to play, you can download it and just mess around for a bit. Well, I don't know. It's very tricky organising things, that's the only problem. I still haven't organised that Aber caving, and it's difficult because we're all in different time zones and we're all very busy at different times, and I would like to play other games with them though. I know Nate's has been pressing me to do some videos with him, and I keep being very rude and not giving him actual times. He wants to do some videos with me, that's not Minecraft. League of Legends, I don't know about that though. I think that's a bit too far out of games I'd play. I'm not a fan of those sort of games. I know he's doing something with Old Man Dan, Speedrunners at the moment, and I have got a copy of that, so I'll see if I can get into that with him. Speedrunners. Do you know what I'd really like to do? Maybe for a one-off is back at Minecon. I'm rambling now. I should hurry up. Back at Minecon, we played Monopoly. And it was terrible, because Monopoly is never fun, it's always terrible. But it was fun to play with them. The game wasn't fun, but it was fun to play a board game with the other members. And I'd like to recreate that online somehow. I know there's that tabletop simulator, where you can play games online. Maybe something like that. I'd quite like to try that with them. Maybe. If someone's interested in that. We'll see. We'll see. Naxa, if you're listening to this, sort something out. Pass the buck to you. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm going to get to my tea because it's probably getting very cold. In fact, let's do a little pinky check. Oh yeah, pinky finger. That's getting quite cold. So thank you all very much for your questions. Remember, you can submit them using the link below in the description. I do urge you not to submit a question if you don't have one. If you don't have one, that's fine. But if you do, remember, it doesn't have to be about video games. I'm looking down the list, and a lot of them are video game related. I know that I am a Let's Play channel, but the whole point of this series is that it's not always about video games. I can talk about anything and everything. So if you do want to ask me about anything, feel free. If you want to ask me about video games, feel free to. But I just want to make that clear that I'm pretty much open to answering most questions, as long as they're not too creepy. So yeah, in the description below, there's a Google form link. Click that and you can submit your question there. Thank you very much. So until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.